Another method of caliper removal used on many Ford vehicles requires the removal of a key retaining bolt, and then with a hammer and punch, drive out the key and support spring. A method widely used on Chrysler vehicles requires the removal of 2 retainer bolts and clips for caliper removal. For a detailed explanation of caliper removal on your vehicle, we suggest you refer to an automotive service manual. Next, remove the brake line from the caliper. In our case, it was held in place with 1 mounting bolt. Place a drip pan underneath the area you'll be working to catch the excess fluid that will drip from the line. With the old caliper removed, use a file or coarse sandpaper to clean the caliper mounting surfaces. It is critical these surfaces are clean and free from corrosion, as the new caliper must slide on these surfaces for proper braking. Then set the new caliper in its mounting position and reinstall the flexible brake line. Be sure to get the small copper washer in place between the line and the caliper itself and tighten the line securely. Lift the caliper off from its mounting, install the brake pads, and set the caliper back in place. Now's a good time to replace your brake pads if they're getting worn down. Next, clean and install the caliper mounting hardware. If the hardware is excessively corroded or damaged, replace it. Now gently pump the brake pedal to help seat the new caliper piston against the pads. The last step is to bleed the brakes. The easiest method is a 2-person manual bleeding system. Here's how. First, make sure the master cylinder is completely full of brake fluid and the cover is set in place. Then have one person gently pump the brake pedal until light pressure is felt and hold the pedal in the down position. Open the bleeder screw on the caliper until the brake pedal goes all the way to the floor. Close the bleeder while holding the brake pedal down and repeat this procedure until all the air is out of the system and a firm brake pedal is felt. During bleeding procedures, frequently check the level of the brake fluid in the master cylinder and add as necessary. Make sure to bleed all 4 wheels and you're done.
Let's recap replacing a brake caliper. First, raise and safely support the vehicle. Mark the wheel's position, then remove it. Remove some of the brake fluid from the master cylinder. Remove the caliper mounting hardware. Remove the brake line and sealing washers. Remove the caliper. Clean the caliper mounting surfaces. Attach the brake line to the new caliper and install the brake pads. Position the caliper and install the mounting hardware. Finally, pump the brake pedal to seat the pads and then bleed the air from the system.
The items you'll need to replace your wheel cylinders include your vehicle's jack and lug wrench, a pair of jack stands, a brake spring pliers, brake hold-down tool, a spoon-type brake adjusting tool, a set of flare nut or line wrenches, and a bleeder wrench. Additional items necessary include the replacement wheel cylinder, at least a pint of brake fluid, some spray-type brake cleaner, and some penetrating oil. We also recommend wearing safety goggles and a protective mask while doing brake repairs. The first step is to park the vehicle on level ground. Lock the tires on the opposite end from where you'll be working. Raise the vehicle with the jack and support it with jack stands. Remove the wheel and tire, and then remove the brake drum. Again, we suggest wearing safety glasses and a dust respirator throughout the entire brake repair. For a demonstration of brake drum removal procedures, refer to our segment on drum brake service. With the drum removed, visually inspect the wheel cylinder. Any sign of leakage means immediate replacement is necessary. Next, clean the backing plate area and brake shoes with a spray-type brake cleaner. This will help remove excess dust and fibers from the brake assemblies. In order to gain access to the wheel cylinder, we will need to remove the brake shoes. Before disassembly, look at the location of the brake springs, hold-downs, and links or cables. Make a sketch of these items and their locations for reference during reassembly. The first step in removing the brake shoes is to remove the upper return springs. A brake spring removal tool is inexpensive to buy or rent and will make the job a lot easier. Now remove the parking brake strut. With the brake hold-down spring tool, press inward on the hold-down spring cup and give it a quarter turn to release it while holding the retaining pin in from the back side. Now pull the brake shoes away from the backing plate and disconnect the parking brake arm while removing the brake shoes and adjusters as one assembly. Now you have clear access to the wheel cylinder. Spray down the brake line and wheel cylinder mounting area with a spray penetrant. Break loose the line fitting with a flare nut wrench. This special type of wrench will also help prevent rounding off the corners of the line nut. Once loose, you can use an open-end wrench to finish removing the line from the back side of the wheel cylinder. You may want to position a drain pan under this area to catch any excess fluid that may leak out of the line. Remove the bolts, or in our case, the clip retaining the wheel cylinder, and remove the old wheel cylinder from the brake shoe side of the backing plate. Match the old wheel cylinder up with the new one to be sure you have the correct replacement, and position the new wheel cylinder and secure it in place. Start the new brake line in the threads by hand, and finish tightening the line with the correct size wrench. Since our brake shoes were worn out, we chose to reinstall new brake shoes and mounting hardware, and also have the drums resurfaced to make our brake job complete. For reassembly in our case, we first connected the parking brake arm to the new secondary brake shoe and held the shoe in place while reinstalling the hold-down pin, spring, and cup. This is where the special hold-down spring tool comes in handy. Position the new primary shoe and secure it in place with the new hold-down pin, spring, and cup. Reinstall the parking brake strut and the brake shoe return springs. Again, a brake spring installation tool makes the job a bit easier and can help prevent some skinned knuckles. Install the new shoe connecting spring at the bottom of the shoes and position the self-adjusting screw. With the shoes fully seated and in the right position, slide the brake drum on. Now you are ready for the final step of bleeding the brakes. First open the bleeder and allow the fluid to gravity bleed out from the cylinders. Again, be sure to keep an eye on the level of the brake fluid in the master cylinder and do not allow it to get low. Then close the bleeders and have a friend gently pump the brake pedal until pressure is felt. Hold continuous pressure on the brake pedal and crack the bleeder slightly open until the brake pedal reaches the floor. Close the bleeder while holding the pedal down and repeat this procedure until all the air is removed from the system and a firm brake pedal is felt. During bleeding procedures, frequently check the level of the brake fluid in the master cylinder and add fluid as necessary. Repeat this procedure on all 4 wheels and wipe down the area around the bleeders. Check for leaks while pressure is being applied to the brake pedal, and you're done.
Let's recap replacing a wheel cylinder. First, raise and safely support the vehicle. Mark the position of the wheel and the brake drum as you remove them. Remove the brake shoes along with their mounting hardware. Disconnect the brake line from the wheel cylinder. Remove the wheel cylinder mounting bolts or clip and the wheel cylinder. Set the new wheel cylinder in place and reinstall the mounting bolts or clip. Reconnect the brake line. Install the brake shoes and hardware. Reinstall the brake drum. And bleed the air from the system and test drive the vehicle.